Zach Ertz had a drive to forget early in the first quarter when on back-to-back plays on second and third down, he committed a penalty and then dropped the pass. But scores a touchdown and all is forgiven. And he was one of the vocal guys in the locker room after the game who made it very clear. It's a 21-6 win. It's a 15-point victory. That's all well and good. We got to be better, and we can be better. He said, I think his quote was, "We expect to score on every single drive." And I just liked hearing, not only from Ertz, but some of the veterans on defense after their banner performance as well, the number of guys in the Commanders' locker room who were not celebrating 1-0 and being over the top in their exuberance, but rather saying, probably should have won by more today. Like, that is a very revealing thing about this club and where their mindset is. Forget fans who are feeling like maybe there could have been more style points. The players were saying that after the game.
I think it tells you where the expectations are. And a lot of times, though, you kind of roll your eyes at that. I mean, think of Chase Young and Montez Sweat declaring they were going to break the sacks record. That's what our expectation is. You should expect that. That's unrealistic. Neither of you have had double-digit sacks yet. Why don't we do that before we start talking about breaking records, et cetera? But with the deposits this group put in, adding Deebo Samuel, substituting Brian Robinson for Ja'Cory Crosky, Merritt, and others, you go, yeah, that's actually reasonable, right? I mean, with Cliff Kingsbury staying and the continuity there, Jayden Daniels continuing to improve and adjust and outwork his competition, that actually is pretty reasonable to me. And it's refreshing to hear that it's not just like, hey, a win is a win. Like, stop asking. It's like, no, we saw it too. We know that being as sloppy as we were, not getting a play in here and there, having to burn a timeout, didn't come back to bite us because we're better than the Giants. But you can't get away with that against Green Bay, against Kansas City, against some of the teams on their schedule.
Yeah, I thought, let's talk Daniels for a second. I thought as a rusher, he was an A+. 10 for 68. Took some long down and distances on second down and made them manageable with big gains, getting chunks, giving them third and average, third and medium. And what's really interesting is it wasn't like a ton of third down scrambles to move the sticks. The first opening third down of the game was that way, but that didn't necessarily happen as the day went on. But he, one at time after another, there were backbreaker designed or scramble runs. He goes for almost 70. I mean, extrapolate what he did yesterday out over 17 games, and we're talking about an 1,150-yard season.
Yeah, there's your 1,000-yard season.
A record rushing season for a quarterback and the fifth ever QB to go for 1K. So it was like that kind of game as a ball carrier. As a passer, because we were so used to him not ever missing on anything last year, it was very obvious, even though he was just a tick off, a hair off.
Yep.
Like, the bad balls, I'm going to use air quotes here, were catchable for the most part.
Yeah.
Debo behind him couldn't bring it in. Debo in front of him couldn't bring it in. Jalen Lane behind him couldn't bring it in. You could tell me they're drops in the sense that two hands are on him, that just ball placement was not right. Middle of the field throws were probably a step behind guys 4, maybe as many as 5 times. And a couple of those actually went down as drops. But I bring this up to say it was still, I don't know, a C or C plus performance because there were so many good plays. That 34-yard throw to Chris Moore we talked about earlier is a special play. Most guys in the league will not make a play like that this year. You had the 18-yard dig to Noah Brown. Big boy stuff. 2nd and 16 to Deebo Samuel, rolling right, throwing back left. Huge. 3rd and 12 to Deebo. 3rd and 5 to Deebo. Some of those money downs, you get paid to win on third down, red zone, late game, and that is where he puts his money in the bank.
So there's enough still that was so awesome that you get to play this game that we're playing right now. In other words, where you go, yeah, it wasn't perfect, but, oh, how about this amazing play? And how about this one? How about that back-breaking 3rd and long? How about that time where it looked like he should have been sacked? How about Tom Brady on the Gamecast? I don't know if you were able to catch this. I know you were in the press box.
Was he any better, by the way? Everybody was bothered by him last year. I would imagine he's going to keep getting better and work at it.
I thought he was better, to be honest with you. I know this. My big nitpick was always that his voice would fry, especially in the second half, and I thought it was actually steady and
Get him
solid.
Some hot coffee.
Seriously, I think he did a good job. But he said, yeah, there's not many people in the league that can do that. Like that play that he just made probably shouldn't have happened. I mean, you saw that last night, too, with Lamar Jackson going back 20-some yards, being dead in the grass, but turning it into a 20-yard game. There's only a handful of guys that have ever played in this league that can do those sorts of things, and Brady pointed one of those out. So there's enough of those amazing moments where Our eye line, rightfully so, is set so high because the deposit's already in the bank. Again, think about the decades of football that we've experienced here since this team was dominant in the 80s and in the early 90s. That level of quarterback play yesterday would have been the, oh my God, incredible. Yeah. And now our baseline, again, is the ceiling.
Well, here's one other Jayden Daniels thought. And I scribbled this down this morning thinking about this, and I'm glad I didn't forget to bring it up. How many times this offseason did you and I talk about this? And collectively, as a we, I think it was just a huge story. This idea that maybe there's an adjustment coming to Jayden Daniels, or like defenses are going to figure something out, or they're going to confuse him on the back end, or kind of find what he can't do.
Yeah,
there was none of that in this game. Which is not to say there won't be, but I guess my point is there was absolutely zero figuring him out and a new plan and, oh, look, they got him. Like now he's hummed into the pocket or he can't move. Zero of that. If that's a question, at least for now it's been answered, there was no answer. Because when they did everything right in coverage on the back end, his cheat code was to pull the ball down and go. And there was, I think, if anything, even more design stuff early in the game than I'm used to seeing. Mm-hmm. But that to me was, one of the things you kind of go, okay, let's wait and see. I need more sample than one game. But this idea of this year two, the adjustment to him, they're going to figure him out. Nope. 300 all-purpose yards, no turnovers. It missed on some things on his own accord, kind of with accuracy, or else it's a monster week one game.
Precisely. Yeah, I mean, the counter to the counter is good luck trying an exotic series of anything that results in man coverage. Because if he escapes, you congratulations, you just gave up 25 or 30 yards on a scramble, right? So there are only so many counters you could do. I mean, last year there were times where if you put a spy, think about when his ribs were cracked and he wasn't quite himself, where, okay, you got Nakobe Dean or Zach Bond or somebody from Philadelphia kind of hanging out a little bit behind line of scrimmage, and they could play some man because Quinyon Mitchell's a grown-up. He's awesome, so he's got Terry McLaurin. Noah Brown's in and out of the lineup. You can cover Olamide Zaccheaus. You can cover Jamison Crowder. You could do some of the man stuff against them, and guys aren't really separating. And he can't kill you with his legs. Well, if he's fully armed and operational like that, that eliminates anything other than the most brilliantly disguised man coverage in the history of mankind. So, again, there are only so many options to do it. You can find every tendency in your best laid plan. You think the Giants didn't talk about rush lanes? You think those guys didn't talk about keeping gap integrity? You think those guys didn't talk about rushing as a unit? I bet you they did. That's a really good defensive line that's going to do that to a lot of people. Well, if your defensive end tries to take an outside route, he steps up, now exits to the right. If he stays inside, he'll just run around you because he's quicker than you, more athletic than you, and turns on the jets better than you. You're not stopping him from escaping. You got to find something else.
I want to get into the Green Bay game for a moment next. We don't need to start breaking it down in detail, but I want to look at it through the lens of if they can go to Lambeau and win, you are 10 or 11 days into the season, and you're 2-0 with a division win, 2 conference wins, and a statement at one of the best teams in the conference. And then it's happening. This idea of what if Daniels becomes Mahomes, and what if you're just good every year, and what if you just become this double-digit win team perennially that's going to be in the playoffs and has a chance to go on runs. There's a lot of football left. But that's what it looks like.
Yep.
You win 12 games last year, and then the following year, it's not the 2012 Redskins with a 7-game winning streak, and then 2013 against the Steelers, you get beat by 2 touchdowns on Monday Night Football to kick off the year, and you get worked by the Eagles and the Packers early on, and you're bad again. Now you're 2-0 with some really, really impressive victories.